led to the death of 18-year-old Nolan Wells. Results from an independent autopsy are expected to be back today.
Department of Marine Resources tracking the movements of the boat Nolan Wells was on before he disappeared.
Nolan Wells update. The girl finally spoke. Grand jury called and GPS tracked. 18 years old. Found dead in the water. Off Horn Island, Mississippi. 2 days after a 4th of July trip. A trip he never came home from. And this week, everything shifted. The young woman he spoke to last, her account is finally out. And here's the problem. It does not match what his friends said. A grand jury is now officially coming. And a GPS record just mapped that boat's entire day, minute by minute. Movement by movement. 2 stories. 1 boy. And one of them cannot be true. Okay, stay with me here. Because this is where it all turns. For 2 weeks, she was just a name. Katie. That's all anyone had. His friends mentioned her. The internet hunted her. Nobody actually knew her. So here's where this case stands. Tonight, confirmed. A girl's account, finally out. And it collides with his friend's account. Head on. A boat's entire day, mapped by GPS. A record that every statement must now face. A grand jury, officially waiting. For an investigation still in motion. And a phone, sitting between 2 teams of experts, holding whatever it holds. That math doesn't sit right. And until it does, we're not going anywhere. Which question haunts you most? The beach conversation, the boat's 4 movements, or 24 hours of silence on that phone? Tell me in the comments. And subscribe to True Crime Vic, because the moment the autopsy drops, the moment that phone opens, you'll hear it here first. Verified. And told right. 3 developments. 1 week. And every single one changes this case. Nolan Wells was 18. He went to Horn Island on July 4th. A boat trip with friends. 10 miles off the Mississippi coast. 2 days later, his body was pulled from the water. His friends came home. He didn't. And for 2 weeks, nobody could say why. Now listen to what just happened. The young woman he spoke with last. Her account is finally public, and it directly contradicts his friends. Not slightly. Completely. A grand jury has been called. The district attorney confirmed it herself. This case is headed to a formal review, and GPS data just surfaced. Tracking that boat's entire day. Every departure, every stop, every movement, after Nolan was left behind. Here's what makes this different. Until now, this case ran on memory, on what people said they saw, what they said he said. That era is over, because a machine was watching that boat. Timestamps don't grieve, coordinates don't protect anyone, and every statement in this case must now face that record. His friends gave one version of his final words. The girl gave another. 2 stories, 1 boy, and one of them cannot be true. He told me he was going back to the boat. That's one version. Now here's the other. He told us he was staying with her. Same afternoon, same beach, same young man. 2 accounts of his final stated plan, and they point in opposite directions. The first account belongs to Katie, the young woman Nolan met on the island. According to attorney Ben Crump, who represents Nolan's family, her account is specific, and it has never wavered. Nolan told her he was rejoining his friends, getting back on their boat. Before it left, the second account belongs to those friends. They say Nolan told them the opposite, that he wanted to stay behind. With Katie, his decision, his own words. Crump put it bluntly. It's a contradiction. Now, rewind. Just far enough to understand how Katie entered this story, because the way her name surfaced tells you everything about how chaotic that first night was. July 4th, late evening. Nolan's mother, Christine, gets a call. Her son isn't with the group. He stayed behind, they tell her, to hang out with a girl. A girl named Katie. No last name. No contact. No idea who she was. Then came the second blow. On that same call, Christine was told something worse. Katie might be missing too. Stop and absorb that. A mother learns her son is unaccounted for. 10 miles offshore. Night falling. And the one person who might know something might also be gone. A second missing teenager, with no name to search for. That fear turned out to be false. Katie was never missing. She left Horn Island safely that day, on a different boat, reachable the entire time. And the correction didn't come from investigators. It came from her own mother, Gracie McCormack. When speculation about her daughter spread online, McCormack posted publicly to stop it. Her daughter was on the island. She spent time with Nolan. They parted ways that afternoon. She said goodbye, boarded another boat, and went home. And according to her mother, she has no knowledge of anything that happened after. If the story ended there, Katie would be a footnote. She isn't. Because of what she says Nolan told her. And there's a second layer here. Christine has heard from the young woman directly. She reached out to Nolan's mother. Described the encounter in simple terms. Christine's words? Basically like it was a hey and bye type situation. Brief, casual. Barely worth remembering. But then Christine said this. That's not what I'm getting from other people. Sit with that gap. The young woman describes a passing moment. Others on that island apparently describe something more. Nolan's own friend told Good Morning America it seemed like Nolan really liked her. A passing hello, or the reason he'd stay behind. Those are very different afternoons. Now, before this goes 1 inch further, something has to be said plainly. Nobody in this case has been charged. Nobody has been accused of a crime. Not the friends, not Katie, not one person connected to that island. Every individual in this story is presumed innocent. Completely. A contradiction is not an accusation. It's a question. And questions are exactly what investigators exist to answer. But this particular question forks into 2 roads. And both of them lead somewhere uncomfortable. Road 1. Katie's account is accurate. Then Nolan had a plan. He intended to leave that island. He told her so. Which means something happened. In the space between stating that plan and the boat pulling away without him. What interrupted him? Nobody has explained it. Not publicly. Not once. Road 2. The friend's account is accurate. Then an 18-year-old made a choice. To stay on a barrier island, alone. 10 miles of open water from home. As his ride back, disappeared toward the mainland. His parents have pushed back on that picture. They say they raised him to be careful. That separating from his group would be out of character. He had too much at stake, they said. So there it stands. One road requires an unexplained interruption. The other requires an out-of-character decision. Pick either one, and a question is still staring back at you. And here's what makes this contradiction so stubborn. Both accounts come from the same fragile source. Memory. What someone heard. What someone remembers hearing. Filtered through shock. Through grief. Through 2 weeks of national pressure. Memory can be honest and still be wrong. Every investigator knows that. It's why they don't stop at statements. They look for something statements can be tested against. And in this case, that something exists. Because while everyone on that island carries their own version of the day, one witness was recording the whole time. Silently. Automatically. Without loyalty to anyone. It has no memory at all. Only a record. Before we open it, one thing. This case has been buried in rumors for weeks. Fake photos. Misheard videos. Theories built on nothing. This channel doesn't run on any of that. True Crime Vic follows the record. The documents. The data. The named sources. So subscribe right now. Because what comes next is exactly why that matters. The next chapter isn't built on anyone's memory. It's built on a machine that watched the boat. A pair of shorts. A set of car keys. A quiet Snapchat account. Small things. The kind of details that never make headlines. Until a family starts holding them up one by one, and asking why nothing lines up. Nolan's parents call them inconsistencies. Tonight, you get the full list, each one attributed to the family. Each one framed the only fair way, as an open question, not an accusation. Start with the shorts. The official police report lists Nolan wearing black shorts when he disappeared. Simple detail, easy to verify. Except, according to Christine, it may be wrong. A young woman from the island reached out. She sent Christine photos from that day. Photos showing Nolan in blue shorts, not black. On its own? Maybe a clerical slip, a witness misremembering a color. It happens in cases everywhere. But think about what that report is for. A search team looked for a missing teenager, using a description. If the description was off, even slightly, that matters. And for a family reading that report, one wrong detail raises a harder question. What else is off? Thread 2. The car keys. Before Nolan was found, while his parents still had hope, they went to collect his car. It was parked at a friend's house, a 5-minute errand. According to the family, it wasn't. A friend answered the door, said he couldn't find the keys, went back inside to look. Minutes passed, then more. Eventually the keys turned up. And here's the detail the family can't shake. Someone was overheard on a phone call, saying exactly where they'd been the whole time, inside the house, sitting on an Xbox. Now, could that be nothing? Absolutely. Teenagers lose track of keys constantly. A stressful week. A house full of shaken kids. But timing shapes perception. The family needed one thing to be simple. And according to them, it wasn't. Thread 3. The phone. And this one runs deepest. Nolan's phone was not recovered by police. It was tracked down by his own family. According to Crump, Christine used Life 360, a family location-sharing app. It pings a device's position in real time. She followed that signal herself, with help from a family friend. And they reached the phone before investigators did. Crump has called that bizarre. His words, a teenager, separated from his phone, and a mother doing the tracking, before law enforcement. But the location was only half of it. What the phone's silence showed was stranger. Here's where you learn who Nolan was. Not through speeches, through habits. Nolan posted to Snapchat almost every day. That's according to the family friend who helped find the device. Constant, casual, automatic. The way most 18-year-olds document everything. Football, friends, ordinary moments. A digital rhythm so steady, nobody noticed it. Until it stopped. For the 24 hours before he vanished, that account went silent. No posts, no updates, nothing. The one stretch of time his family would give anything to see clearly is the one stretch with no footprint at all. And then, one more layer. When the phone was finally located, the family says the account's listed location didn't match where the device physically was. The app said one place. The phone sat in another. Now, fairness demands this be said. Every single thread you just heard could have an innocent explanation. Phones die. Apps lag. Location services glitch constantly. A kid at a beach party might simply not post. Keys go missing in messy houses. And police reports contain typos in even the cleanest investigations. Any one of these, explainable. The family isn't claiming otherwise. What they're saying is narrower and harder to dismiss. 5 threads. All pointing at the same afternoon. All still unexplained. 2 weeks later. That's why they've refused to accept that the file is complete. It's why they hired their own legal team. It's why they keep asking publicly for answers nobody has provided yet. Because here's the pattern underneath it all. Every thread traces back to a person. A person wrote that report. A person misplaced those keys. A person chose not to post or couldn't. People forget. People panic. People protect themselves even when they've done nothing wrong. Every piece of this case so far has passed through human hands, human memory, human stress. The next piece didn't. It came from a transponder, bolted to a boat, reporting positions automatically all day long. No stress, no loyalty, no version of events, just coordinates and timestamps. And what they show is why this case just changed. 9:56 a.m., July 4th. That number wasn't written by a witness. Nobody remembered it. Nobody estimated it. A tracking system logged it, the instant it happened. Here's what you're about to see, and why no one can argue with it. The Mississippi Department of Marine Resources monitors vessel activity along the Gulf Coast, position data, movement history, logged automatically as boats travel those waters. When CBS News obtained the report on this boat, the case gained something it never had before: an objective timeline. Understand what makes this kind of evidence different. A witness statement can shift under pressure. Details fade. Stories get aligned. Sometimes innocently, sometimes not. Investigators spend careers untangling that. Positional data doesn't do any of it. It logs where a vessel was, and when. It can't be persuaded. It can't panic. It doesn't love anyone on board. Which means every statement in this case, every account from that island, now has something to be measured against. So let's walk the boat's day. Exactly as the record shows it. 9:56 in the morning. The boat leaves a private dock, Ocean Springs area. Nolan and his friends aboard, headed for a holiday on the water. 11:14 a.m. The boat reaches Horn Island. The group joins a massive gathering. Hundreds of young people on that shoreline. Boats anchored everywhere. Music, sun. A celebration like any other. 3 p.m. The last confirmed sighting of Nolan Wells. That's per the sheriff's office, and per his own friends. This is the moment the case turns. Everything before it is documented. Everything after it is a void. 4:31 p.m. The record logs the boat leaving Horn Island. Nolan is not aboard. 91 minutes. That's the gap between his last sighting and that departure. An hour and a half. On a crowded island, with no confirmed trace of him. Hold that number. We're coming back to it. Now, the friend's explanation for leaving. They've said the boat had mechanical trouble, that it was taking on water, that they had no choice but to go. For weeks, that was just their account. Then, NBC News obtained audio. A call made to a private towing company as the boat headed back. On that recording, the operator says, "They're at the west tip of Horn. The bilge pump has stopped working." And then, 3 words. "We're sinking." Let's be precise about what that proves. The audio supports the mechanical failure. It confirms the boat was in real trouble, exactly as the friends described. That part of their account now has independent corroboration. What the audio cannot explain is anything that happened on the island. It verifies why the boat left, not what happened to the boy it left behind. Back to the record. Because the boat's day wasn't over, it returns to its original dock. Then, 5:52 p.m., it moves again. Into Fort Bayou, 6:06 p.m. Back at the dock, 7:19 p.m. One final logged position, the Fort Bayou boat launch. The vessel comes out of the water and travels over land, presumably towed, to Biloxi, to the home of its owners. Count them. Dock, bayou, dock, launch. Then a driveway in another city. 4 movements after leaving that island. All logged, all time-stamped. None of them requiring anyone's memory. Now, to be fair once more, boats get moved after mechanical failures. A failing vessel getting hauled out and towed home for repairs? That's what responsible owners do. Nothing in that data proves wrongdoing. And per the Marine Resources report, the boat's owner, his mother, and another person from that trip are all cooperating with investigators. So why does this record matter so much? One woman answered that. Sharply. Cheryl McCollum, crime scene investigator. Her case list includes Tupac Shakur and the Zodiac Killer. She spent decades testing stories against evidence. Speaking to News Nation, she explained why this data is critical. The people on that boat have already talked to the family, to law enforcement. Their statements exist, on record, locked in, and then her razor. If their story doesn't match what that boat did, in her words, they're gonna have a problem. That cuts both ways. Understand that. If the statements align with the track, the data becomes their strongest confirmation. If they don't align, investigators will want to know why. Either way, the measuring has begun. Then McCollum raised something else. The detail she called pretty shocking. Remember the crowd. Hundreds of people on Horn Island that day. Former classmates, whole friend groups, boats lining the shore. And after 3 p.m., not one confirmed sighting of Nolan Wells. Not one. Hundreds of witnesses in one place. A young man, known to so many of them, and the record of his final hours is completely empty. How does someone vanish in the middle of a crowd? That question is why you need to be here. 2 evidence drops are still coming. The phone inspection and the autopsy results. When they land, every timestamp you just heard gets tested against every statement in this file. Subscribe to True Crime Vic right now, because we will put those pieces side by side, line by line. The moment they're released. Verified sources only. You will not have to untangle rumors alone. So the record has done its job. It mapped the boat. It exposed the gap. It asked the questions. Machines can't answer them. That falls to people. 60 of them and counting. And you're about to meet the ones who talked. 2 pieces of viral content nearly hijacked this case. A photo and a video. Millions saw them. Both were wrong. And the person who dismantled them is someone you've already heard from, without knowing his name. In Chapter 1, a friend told Good Morning America, Nolan seemed to really like the girl he met. That friend is Trayston Shepard. And his role in this case goes far deeper than one quote. First, who he actually is. Shepard and Nolan met freshman year, Ocean Springs High School. Part of a tight circle of friends that stayed intact after graduation. The July 4th trip was planned as one last hurrah, before everyone scattered back to school and work. After Nolan's death, Shepard went on record. National television. His words about their friend group were direct. Nobody would ever hurt Nolan. He said they would die for him. That Nolan was the one who brought them all together. That's his account. On the record, under his own name. Now, the 2 corrections. The video first. A clip spread everywhere. Shot from a boat, near the island. Voices shouting. An argument. Attorney Crump referenced it publicly, saying you can hear Nolan demanding his phone back. Shepard watched that clip and recognized the voice immediately, because it was his own. That's me yelling, he told ABC News. Nolan isn't in the video at all, and according to Shepard, the argument had nothing to do with a phone. He was being restrained during a separate dispute, involving someone else entirely. Another friend, Javon Williams, backed that up, describing the same altercation and trying to calm it down. The second correction, the photo. After Nolan's body was found, an image circulated. Nolan at a pool party. Thousands shared it, believing it proved he was alive after July 4th. Rolling Stone ran it down. The image metadata told the truth. That photo was taken June 27th. A full week before Horn Island. It was simply uploaded on July 5th. The upload date caused the confusion. Nothing more. 2 claims, 2 corrections. Both verified. Both public. But the noise carried a cost. A real one. Shepard says he and his friends have received threats. So has the family of Warren Hudson, another young man from that boat. Warren's stepmother is a county judge. She deactivated her Facebook account after photos of her minor children started circulating online. She stated publicly that Warren was interviewed and cooperated fully, and that Warren himself called the Coast Guard to report Nolan missing. Threats got serious enough to cross state lines, which is where the FBI enters, and where another rumor needs killing. Claims spread that the FBI took over this case. FBI Jackson issued a statement. It has not. The Bureau is assisting, specifically on interstate threats tied to people connected to the investigation. Federal jurisdiction, federal tools, but the lead agency, from the first search until today, is the Jackson County Sheriff's Office. Support, not command. So what has that office actually done? Sheriff John Ledbetter confirmed the scale. More than 60 witnesses interviewed, including the 3 friends who were with Nolan on that boat. All 3 have retained attorneys, which, to be clear, is standard practice. In any case drawing this much attention, it implies nothing about guilt. Ledbetter has also shared his working theory. He suspects Nolan drowned, but mark his next words. He is still investigating. The coroner reported no immediate signs of physical injury. Remains unreleased, pending the state medical examiner. Suspicion is not conclusion. The sheriff himself keeps that line drawn. The family pushes on that line. Hard. Crump's position is blunt. Hundreds of people were out there. He argues nobody believes Nolan entered the water, without a single person seeing it. His words, "It's not adding up." And the family's demand is specific. A zealous investigation. Christine's version is even simpler. Transparency. A thorough investigation. Just like they would do for anyone else. Crump has gone further, raising race directly, arguing the case would be pursued differently if the roles were reversed. The sheriff's office maintains it's pursuing everything. 60 interviews, federal assistance, an open file. Both positions are on the record. You now have both. And notice something. Strip away the viral noise, and the 2 sides agree on more than you'd think. The family wants every fact examined. Shepard, on camera, said nearly the same. Let the investigation conclude. Let the truth come out, whatever it is. Every road in this case now runs toward one place. The findings, the interviews, the data, the phone, all of it headed for a single room. 16 to 23 citizens, behind closed doors. A room almost everyone talking about this case fundamentally misunderstands. 16 to 23 ordinary citizens. No judge ruling on guilt. No verdict. No sentence. That's the room this case is heading to. And before anything else tonight, you need to understand what it actually does. Because almost everyone online has it wrong. A grand jury doesn't decide if someone is guilty. It reviews evidence, in secret, and answers one narrow question. Is there enough here to justify charging anyone at all? That's it. A filter, not a trial. Now, how this case got pointed there. July 15th. Christine and Elmore Wansley walk into a meeting. Across the table, Jackson County District Attorney Angel Myers McElrath. Their first face-to-face with her office since their son was found. Crump described the meeting afterward. Respectful, candid, and from that room came the announcement. Once the sheriff's investigation is complete, the findings go to a grand jury. Here's the part the headlines buried. The DA's office added a caveat. Immediately. Convening a grand jury does not signal criminality. In Jackson County, it's standard procedure. For most unnatural or suspicious deaths, this is what the process looks like. When a death has no official explanation yet. So hold both truths at once. The referral is real. It matters. For the first time, this case has a legal destination. But a referral is a review, not an accusation against anyone. The DA also made a commitment. Per the family's legal team, every relevant fact goes before that jury. Crump's demand was blunt. Nothing held back. Nothing overlooked. But the grand jury wasn't the biggest news to come out of that meeting. This was. Both sides agreed to open the phone. Together. Think back to Chapter 2. The device the family tracked down themselves. The 24 hours of silence. The location that didn't match. That phone has sat at the center of this family's questions from the start. Now it gets examined. And the structure of that examination is remarkable. A joint inspection. Experts hired by the family, working alongside experts from the official investigation. Same download, same room, same moment. Attorney Eric Hertz leads the family's side. He's built a team of former law enforcement professionals, specialists brought in for the forensic extraction. Crump described the arrangement simply. Everybody sees what's on that phone at the same time. Understand why that design matters. In high-profile cases, evidence often drops in fragments. One side releases findings. The other disputes them. Dueling statements. Dueling experts. The public never knows what's real. This structure prevents that. No one gets the data first. No one frames it first. Whatever that device holds, both sides witness it together. And what could it hold? Modern phone forensics recovers more than most people realize. Message history, app activity, location logs stored independently of any tracking app, deleted content, often recoverable, timestamps for when a device locked, moved, or died. For a case built on a missing 91 minutes, that device may be the closest thing to a witness from inside the void. As of this recording, the inspection hasn't happened yet. It's agreed, scheduled ahead, not done, and it's not the only thing pending. The autopsy, still with the state medical examiner. Toxicology, still unreleased. The sheriff's investigation, still open. 3 sealed answers. Any one of them could reshape everything you've heard tonight. That's the machinery. Now, the part that isn't machinery at all. Monday, July 20th. Centerpoint Church, Ocean Springs. Nolan's family will hold his homegoing service. Visitation in the morning. The service right after. Ocean Springs is a small coastal town. It watched Nolan grow up. His coaches went on record after his death. They described a multi-sport athlete, humble, hard-working, a leader by example. His high school principal said he left a lasting impression on everyone who taught him. This is the same community that celebrated his signing day, Southwest Mississippi Community College. Wide receiver, a future mapped out. On Monday, that community gathers again, for a different reason. And one detail deserves mention. The family confirmed that Tyler Perry stepped in quietly and covered the funeral expenses. So, where does this case truly stand? Pull every chapter into one frame. A young woman's account, on the record, standing in direct conflict with his friend's account. 5 threads the family can't close. Shorts, keys, a silent app, a phone in the wrong place, a boat's entire day logged by machine, with 91 unexplained minutes at its center, 60 witnesses, 2 corrections, an FBI assist, an open file, and now a grand jury waiting, a sealed phone, and an autopsy that could answer the largest question of all. Nobody in this story stands accused. Everyone deserves that said one final time. What this family stands is waiting for the record to finish speaking. So here's my question for you. Of everything still unanswered, which piece matters most? The conversation on that beach, the 91 minutes, or whatever is locked inside that phone? Drop your answer in the comments. This community reads every theory, and the family's supporters are watching too. The next update in this case will not be small. It will be the autopsy, or the phone, or the grand jury itself. Subscribe to True Crime Vic right now, so you're here the moment it breaks. Verified, sourced, and told right. Because somewhere in Ocean Springs, a family is waiting for answers. and the next update may finally hold them.